Okay, so this is a short video going through the proof test for the tiempo topic. These were the questions. If you haven't done the questions already, they're here. You could pause it now and do it now, and then we'll go over the answers. Okay, so these are the answers for this one. So remember, we're using the preterite tense for this. Now, I would say that quite generally we use the imperfect tense for when we're doing weather, but obviously here we're practicing using hacer in the preterite tense. So it was hot. Hacer is an irregular verb, so it goes to hizo, so hizo calor. It was cold. Hacer again is an irregular verb, so hizo frío. They did, so we're using again the irregular hicieron, and we can either put los or sus deberes. Los because we know whose homework they're doing, not doing somebody else's homework, or sus if we want to be a bit more specific. She made a cake, hizo pastel. Note here that there aren't any accents on these ones, so all irregular verbs in the preterite never have accents on them, all right? It was cloudy, so for this one we use a different verb, estar, and again that's irregular, so that goes to estuvo nublado. There was fog, and this time we're using the verb haber, so hubo niebla. It was clear skies. This goes back to the one like cloudy, so you use estar for this one, so estuvo despejado. And then I've just put another one in there just to try and practice the I form of the verb hacer because it's so irregular. So I went sailing. We use the verb hacer vela, literally to do sailing. So that changes to hice la vela. Okay, so this is going over the proof test for the weather. This time the future section that you've been given. So here are the questions. If you haven't done them already, you can do them from here. If you pause it now, and then I'll go over the answers in a second. Okay, so here are the answers for the future one. So the first few, 1 to 4, as I said in the original list, are in the near future. So when we use the near future, because it's the it form, we use va rather than the other form. So if you don't know the verb ir in the present tense, which is what we use when we use the near future, it might be worth revising that. So va a hacer sol. Kind of the main problem that I find with students is they miss out this when they're doing the near future, so just make sure you've got that in there. Remember that sol, when it's sunny, it takes the verb hacer, so we use that in the infinitive form. This one, exactly the same, so it's the it form again, the that we need to have in it, but when we're doing cloudy, it uses the verb estar, so we put that in the infinitive form, okay? We're going to take an umbrella. Again, just practice of the future. So vamos is the we form. We've got that in there. Llevar is to take or to take with you in this case. So y un paraguas. They're going to play on the beach. So this time we use the they form, van, and we've got that and again. Jugar is our infinitive and en la playa. And the last four, we're using the simple future. Now, hacer in the simple future is irregular, and so is haber. So we'll just have a look at those two. So hacer sol is our infinitive for this one, but hacer goes to har as the stem, and then we add the endings. And for the it ending, we put an a on the end. So hará sol. It will be cloudy. This one we use estar. This one isn't irregular, so we just put the a on the end. Estará nublado. There will be fog. Haber is irregular. So the stem is H-A-B-R, and then we add the ending on there, and then niebla. Okay, so habrá niebla. And the last one, just to extend a little bit, so we've got it will rain, lloverá. So remember the infinitive for to rain is llover. And then we add the a on there, lloverá. Quite often I find when we're doing this tense is that people forget to leave the EA, ER, AR and IR on the end, and they take those off and then put the ending, which then turns it into a completely different tense. So that's the key thing to look out for when you're doing the simple future. Ella, and I put a in brackets. You could put au in because we've put she. If the sentence isn't ambiguous, so you know you're talking about a girl or woman, then you don't need to put the ella in there. And then visitará, again, we've got that ar on the end of the verb visitar, the infinitive, and la catedral. Common mistake here is that people put an H in it, or if they're typing in it, it does autocorrect with an H in it. Okay. Okay, so this is the last part of the proof test for the weather topic. These are the 8 sentences. They kind of move along on complexity, so they start off slightly less complex and become more complex as they go through. If you haven't done them already, just pause it now, have a go, and then we'll go over the answers in a second. Okay, so the main thing with weather is that it does use different verbs than we might use in English, and it's actually a really good one to put when you're doing it. If you're doing an exam, for example, put into writing or speaking, because it shows the idiomatic nature of weather when you're doing it in this format. So when we're doing it's cold, it's hace frío, and I've just noticed I haven't put very in here, so I'm just going to add that in there. So literally in Spanish is saying there is a lot of cold, right? So that's what we use mucho rather than muy, which is what you might think is the literal translation, okay? And then the same goes for sunny. So again, we use hacer, so hace mucho sol. So literally they're saying there's much sun rather than it's very sunny, okay? So not using muy in this one. It's cloudy, slightly less complex. Está nublado. Don't forget the accent on the A there, otherwise it changes it into this in a feminine form. I go to the beach and it's hot, so just to practice of some of the other verbs. So voy a la playa, remember, ir is irregular in the present tense, so we just need to be careful of that, but we probably knew that if you were doing the future tense before. Voy a la playa, y hace calor. Again, we use hacer with the verb with heat. So literally there's lots of heat, so calor means heat rather than hot itself. And again, we'd use mucho in here if we were saying it's very hot, okay? It's not foggy, so I'm going to the market. So here I was trying to use negatives here. So no hay niebla. So for niebla, for foggy, we use hay. There is and there are. So literally there isn't any fog. So it literally means así, or you could put así que, and then voy al mercado. So remember, voy a is to, so I go to, and mercado is masculine, so it'd be a and el. So a plus el squish together and become al. So voy al mercado. It's not cold, so I'm not wearing my hat. So again, some negative practice here. So no hace fríos, again, like some of the other ones, like sunny and cold and hot. This use hacer, so literally there's no cold in this case. And then así or así que, no llevo, to wear, mi or el sombrero. We assume you're wearing your own hat, so we could either put my hat, me, or el sombrero, el, kind of making it a little bit more general. And then the last, second to the last one, penultimate one, is very windy and very cloudy. How do we complete the building? So I wanted to try and put a question format in here. So for wind, we could say hace mucho viento. So we use the verb hacer, where we put mucho, meaning very. So there's lots of wind. Or this one here, we could just say hay mucho viento. So there's a lot of wind as well. But it doesn't use muy like it does seem to be as in English, right? Y está muy nublado, but this one does, so we're using the verb estar, and then we use muy nublado, so it's very cloudy, so that's a literal translation. And then this one for the question, we're doing in the we form, so como completamos, so the verb is completar, we put that in the present tense to completamos, and then terminar, to terminamos el edificio, okay? And the last one, it's not raining everywhere, so I'm traveling to the south for a bit of sun. No llueve en todas partes. So llueve, remember that is completely different verbs than most of the other ones, as is snowing. So no llueve, again a negative form, en todas partes, everywhere. Así or así que, and then viajo, I travel to the south. So it's a bit like the market one. So to is a, the south is el sur. So a plus el squishes together and becomes al. And para tomar un poco el sol. So this is literally to take a bit of sun. Otherwise, for a bit of sun might be a little bit of a literal translation. It might sound a little bit odd in Spanish. I put stilted in English, but actually what I mean is in Spanish. Okay, maybe if you are a bilingual speaker of Spanish, you might see whether there's anything else there you might put instead, but that's how I would translate it. Okay, good. Mark all your work and then submit it to the teacher if you need to, or ask any questions of the teacher if you are stuck with anything.